All right, well, with back to school to in-person learning on Monday, joining us live now with what parents need to know about keeping their kids safe before going back to the classroom is Dr. Dina Kulik, pediatrician, pediatric emergency doctor, and founder of Kid Crew. Good morning, Dr. Kulik. So the TDSB is really going above and beyond what the province is doing, and they're saying that they will inform parents if there is a confirmed case of COVID-19 in their kids' class. How important is this for parents? Do you think they should feel more assured with this?
Yes, absolutely. I've heard from countless parents over the last week that they are stressed that they won't find out what is the situation in their kids' class or their kids' school. And without that knowledge, it's hard to make an informed decision about what to do with your own child who may not be vaccinated yet.
And let's talk about masks, because the province is saying that they're going to be providing 3-ply cloth masks, high quality, given to students. It's really hard to get your hands on K95 masks for kids in Canada. I've tried, not easy. Are the 3-ply ones good enough?
Ideally, we're not wearing just cloth masks. 3-ply definitely is better than a 2-ply mask. I strongly recommend against wearing a 2-ply or even a 3-ply on its own. If you can get your hands on KN95s that fit your child, that's important. It should actually fit properly. Then I would do that. It's hard to access them. They're challenging to find and they're very costly. If you can find yourself a surgical mask and you layer that with a cloth mask, that's going to be a lot more protective for your child than a cloth mask alone.
Yeah, very important, especially for that younger age group. We're talking JK, SK, where they can't get vaccinated yet. Let's talk about hand hygiene and sanitizing things. Now, is it crucial in preventing COVID-19, given that it's airborne transmission? We haven't heard a lot about washing hands and being able to sanitize everything these days. Has that kind of gone down in the conversation in terms of protection?
For sure. So COVID is airborne. It's going to be floating around in droplets in the air from coughing or speaking or sneezing or singing, these sorts of things, which is why protection around the mouth and the nose is really paramount. But those droplets can settle on surfaces. So as always, we should be really diligent about hand hygiene for other viruses as well. There's lots of things like other flus and stomach bugs, influenza that can land on surfaces as well. So while the focus should be more about preventing aerosolized droplets for entering our nose and our mouth, hand hygiene was always and still is very important for all viruses.
Dr. Kulik, let's talk about screening, because the province has said, or at least the Toronto District School Board has said, that the screening process is going to be really crucial to preventing COVID cases in schools. We know that they've added runny noses and sore throats to the list now. But with many parents with young kids, we know that a runny nose is something we see all the time, even ourselves in the cold weather. So how do you distinguish if it's a runny nose from a cold versus allergies or just the weather?
Well, allergies would be much less common now, given that things are frozen over. It's quite cold now. So I'd be less likely to assume that a runny nose is related to allergies. With regards to cold, flu versus COVID, I would assume with how predominant COVID-19 is right now in the community, if your child has viral symptoms, I would assume they have COVID. I wouldn't assume it's some other virus just because it is very, very, very common right now. With regard to runny noses when you come in or go outside, if it stops within a few minutes, it's likely related to the cold. But if it's persistent or accompanied by any other symptoms at all, from runny nose, cough, sore throat, vomiting, belly pain, any of these symptoms, I would assume right now that it's COVID, and I would keep your child home.
So any sign of illness, the best course of action, just keep that child home. And of course, the isolation period is 5 days now. Do you think that's enough for kids?
I would like it to be longer, honestly. I know many, many families that isolated for 5 days, even 7 days, and still got it from one another. Now, it's possible they were exposed before the isolation period, but I do have a sense that that isolation period of 5 days is not quite long enough. I would love to see a longer period until we know for sure what that isolation period should be from science.
All right, very quickly, Dr. Kulik, what's your take on a vaccination mandate for kids in the 5 to 11 category?
I think this would be very challenging for families. Many families are still really hesitant to vaccinate their child. Now, I do absolutely encourage it. My own kids are vaccinated as well. But vaccines have never been mandated and required for school. We recommend them. families sign off on forms saying that they didn't vaccinate their child for whatever vaccine they chose not to. I think they should be really well informed and provide really informed consent and have a conversation with their healthcare provider about why to vaccinate, because we do feel strongly that they should. But I don't believe that a mandate should be required.
All right, Dr. Dina Kulik, pediatrician and founder of Kid Crew, thank you so much for your time. Have a good weekend.
You too.